It's interesting. They use it a lot. Well, they don't. So I'm a veteran. I'm wearing the hat, but it's because I'm having a bad hair day, not because I'm supporting this. Uh, Even though I do wholeheartedly support this, and I have not really got into it, which is funny because of my background and what I do. But veterans will get together and do RPG games, and it helps them with some of their PTSD issues and what are the things that they're going through. These games are so miraculous. I'm a big fan of non-dice games. There's a game out there, Dread, somebody invented where you need a Jenga game.
Oh, I thought that was also part of Fate.
Fate is not
Oh,
Jenga. Fate are it's dice, but they're different. I'm looking around because I thought I had them all. No, they're plus, minus, and blank.
oh,
So
now I do remember Dread, because that sounded like a fantastic. Oh, what do I want to call it? Like something for Halloween or something to get really people into the spirit.
it is. It's a horror thing. So if you love horror, you should look into this. They don't sell the hard copies anymore, but the company itself has released the PDF for free, and you can pick it up on the internet anywhere you look. Um, the two things they have in common, Dread and Fate, though, is that you build your characters together. Fate is a little bit more, all the players' characters have things that they have to do with each other. There's a bunch of connection things. But in Fate, or excuse me, in Dread, you do it. But when you're building your character, you're playing Jenga for certain things. So that beginning Jenga thing that never goes bad, it never falls down because you're taking the first couple out, that is just the setup for the game. Once the game starts going, then you have this unstable tower that you're playing with. And the cool thing about Dread is like the storyteller's telling the story, and like they'll ask you questions, you respond in character, and they say, "Oh, but I think this is going to happen." Or you want to change something that's about to happen, like the horror monster is about to get you, and you're like, I'm going to pull out my gun and shoot it. You have to take a Jenga piece out to succeed. And
Oh,
if the Jenga falls, your character dies.
well, that's an interesting thing because that makes it one aspect of, like how you've talked about within role playing experiences, of you're sharing this story, you're sharing this experience. Oh, also, hi, hey, Mighty R. So, one of my friends from the art community has just popped on. Hey, Mighty R, how you doing, man?
You, hi, Mighty R. Oh, that's who you're having comments with on Facebook or on YouTube. I saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hi.
So, this is all 21st century and all the joys of doing a live show. So there's been shenanigans, but thank you for definitely showing up, man.
So I don't know if it's still going on. I thought it was funny because you mentioned this tabletop thing, and then I started getting messages from my friends in the podcasting community that D&D Live 2019 happened today in LA. And originally, yesterday they were texting me and they're like, "Oh, I'm getting ready for D&D Live," and I live 3 miles from Wizards of the Coast main building. And I was like, "Hey, if you're in town, let's get lunch." And they're all like, "It's a long drive to Seattle from LA, but you know."
Oh, it's interesting that they didn't do. Isn't Renton that the
Yeah.
headquarters is for Dungeons and Dragons?
Yep, right down the street from me. I don't live in Renton, but it is right there. I live on the border of a couple towns. But yeah, it's funny to me. I thought that's where it was, so I was really excited about that. But um, when it comes to it, though, like reading certain um, what am I saying? Oh, reading comic books in this because we do comics. Everybody's always like, "Oh, I'd love to have a D&D game like that." Or they try to reinvent D&D games, and I get it. 5e is great. It's very streamlined. It's very easy, but there might be systems that are better. Daniel Cozy, a friend of the show who did the graphics for the miniature
Oh,
dragon.
Doc, sorry. Hey, Tina, it's great having you on. She's a amazing artist. Tina D. Yeah, if I'm tongue tied, it's only because that's just normal of me. Um, yeah, this is Alexius Poorman, the creator of Cujin comic art, and Tina is yeah, so amazing. Like, Doc, if you get a chance, definitely check out her work. I'll give you the link. So, sorry to interrupt, but
No, it's fine. It's funny to me that you're so excited though. This is the first time we put Alex really in the driver's seat of something different, and I think he's getting a kick out of it. But there's so many other tabletop role playing games that might meet the criteria. Dread is a great one shot scary game, but if you really want a good, scary, long game, Call of Cthulhu is awesome. And I think they're just thinking about coming out with their sixth edition. Fifth edition came out not too long ago. Also, Vampire the Masquerade just did a reboot and is on their fifth edition. These are all really cool things. And I see that when I'm reading comic books. Now you guys got me. I never read comic books before. I had very little comic book experience before I met you guys. But now I'll go to the comic book section in like Barnes and Nobles when I'm there, and I start flipping through. And it's funny to me because I'm like, oh, I could see this as a Fate game, or I could see this as, Call of Cthulhu, which is a 2D10 system, and all this other stuff. It's funny to me on how much comic books and tabletops relate that way. And there's a lot of comic books that don't. They have different role-playing games. But outside of comic books, and this is the point I was initially trying to get to before I went on my little rabbit trail, comic or tabletop role-playing games really brings out a creative side of people. Even if you think you don't have one, it'll come out. And you might feel a little uncomfortable the first couple of times. But Alex and I have been sitting in games together with people who have never really role-played at all. And when they get into it, it's a totally different game. And they're almost shy about it. Even if they're not shy people, they're like, oh yeah, I tried a little bit.
well, like one of the group members that we have, Josh, I want to say like that guy has really shined, and he's new to role playing. And also, I do want to mention for the people that are watching, normally it's myself, Doc, and Woody, three of us that talk about comic books. But because Woody's not here, and myself and Doc are Dungeons and Dragon nerds, we're having a good opportunity to talk not only about comic books, personal experiences, and also how tabletop role playing has definitely influenced both of us. To make an abridged version of.
And we're both artists. Come on.
Yes,
Now that I got
you
my
are.
wand, it's actually art.
Yeah, yeah. If you guys get a chance, it's Doc Juan Emporium that you have your. That's the name of your website and your YouTube.
It's Doc's Wand Emporium.
Oh, okay.
Which you can just jump on docswands2.com. I'm sure I have a link somewhere. If I don't, I'll get you one. I only have a few videos on there right now. I will expand. But woodworking really is art if it's done right. If you're not just cutting pieces of wood, putting them together to build like really basic furniture, it is art. I love that you're reading. I love this so much. We've got to teach you some little quick tricks so that your eyes aren't dragging across the screen.
Yes, I am quite bad about, HDA squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yes, as I'm reading the comments while trying to engage with you, Doc. Sorry.
I'm just watching you read them because I have you on my screen. You're just right there because Woody's not here. Usually it's a split screen and I can just see your face and as I'm watching.
Yeah, and the best part is like once again, as much as I've been like trying to self-learn a lot of the stuff on OBS, it seems like every time that try something different or new, it just has some sort of glitch or feature that just like straight up just doesn't work. So that's why I have the default little drawings of everybody.
You'll never be an expert, Alex, if you don't mess up a bunch and then fix it.
Well, I'm doing the messing up. I just need to do the fixing. And Tina, yes, we do. Myself and Woody, which is the individual that's not here, make comic books.
I just help with the digital stuff. And not the digital comic book like this. I mean, before we get rolling, Alex, have you ever read, what's your favorite RPG comic book? Besides Cyber Symbiosis. You're not allowed to use that one.
Right. I kind of figure that, so Cyber Symbiosis is one of our titles. I actually really enjoyed Warhammer 40K, that comic book.
The one
the comic that we did? The
review? Yeah.
Well, it's like, it has an in-depth lore. It had, I thought, pretty well written for, like, you know, the issue that we did review. And the art was a pretty enjoyable style of, you know, some parts were really out there, and then there was other parts that were just, enjoyable to me, at least.
So Warhammer to me is actually pretty incredible, and I'll tell you why. It's always intrigued me. So I'm a pen and paper tabletop role playing guy. I know enough about 40K that, like, if I go to a game store and there's an army there, I can play. However, I am very surprised that that particular game has such in-depth lore. Some of the best books I've ever read were Warhammer books, so on and so forth. It's not your typical books upon books upon books of different lore and stuff happening like a pen and paper game would be, where it gets enthralling. It really is just a miniature war game that has an extreme amount of lore and just amazing amounts of material that are out there that aren't really part of the game in books and other things. I don't. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's miniatures and there's instructions. There's a core book on instructions, but there's not a core book where you pick your race and you pick your species and you roll your dice and then you have to create this backstory for yourself. You can sit down with an army and play without a backstory.
Right. It's kind of the difference of, like, it's a very mechanical thing versus, like, in role playing or tabletop, I should say, you make a character and you're almost like an actor in a free-form style that is making the story with a storyteller, a game master, that allows you to have enough rules to basically make it still a game, but also interesting because fail or succeed, it allows the development of a story. And through dice, Jenga pieces, cards, whatever that they might be.
Seriously, miniatures, like the X-Wing game. I would consider that a tabletop game. You're reading again, I can tell.
I need to be less noticeable, I suppose, Doc.
I can see you. I know that you have pictures on your side, but if you're on Twitch, and by the way, everybody watching on YouTube, you can go to Twitch and see Alex and his eyes and stuff. I've got it on there. That's twitch.tv/MD Comics. They're going to switch over just to see you. Like, you gotta find a way to make it not so
blatant enough, like
pretty blatant. Yeah. It's just funny to me that there's just all these plethoras of tabletop games and even some board games have got there. My wife, for Christmas, who's not a tabletop role player game.
Oh, the Harry Potter one, right?
Got Harry Potter card building game, which I thought was kind of weird because she asked for specifically the card building game. And so I bought her that and I got her the expansion because we do game nights with friends over here all the time. So, you know, it was good just to have another game around. Even if she wasn't that big, we had this whole thing we could do. She loves that game. She is so into that game, but she's not role playing. Like, and I wouldn't expect for my wife. She's not that kind of game person. But it's remarkable to me that she can look at a game that's almost not a board game. You know what I mean? It's not your Monopoly. It's not even like Mysterium. It's a card deck building game that you play with everybody else trying to defeat the cards that are on the table. It's really well done. I do highly recommend it, even though they're not sponsoring us. But if you guys want to throw some money our way, just let me know. I like everything from that. I'm a big gamer. I like anything from that down to pen and paper D&D. Like no electronics, even because I gave this comment in our last game. Alex plays in it. Was I need everybody? I understand that you guys are using your
Cell phones.
tablets, cell phones, whatever. I look funny right now. I got a busted lip. Um, these tablets and cell phones at the table, but sometimes as the storyteller, I want to see your sheets for whatever reason. I just want to take a look at them. And I told everybody, I don't care if you're using it, but please have sheets. I also make fun of everybody because I'm like, well, what's your two hit with a spell? And they'll be like, hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm like, if you had sheets, you would have seen it by now. So it's funny to me. I asked, yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of funny, Tina, I take it you just got onto Twitch because she said, "Nice beard, Alex."
There you go. She might have, or she's just seeing it from your drawing.
Oh, fair enough.
I will tell you right now, if you're a big tabletop gamer and you're getting into comics, highly recommend you pick up Rat Queens. And it doesn't matter where you start. It's the feel. I can't find another comic that feels more like the tabletop games that I've experienced in 20, 30 something years of playing tabletop games that really just grab the essence of it and have an awesome story that brings you over to the comic book realm as well. I can't think of a comic that's more role-playing game than Rat Queens is. And in it, if you go long enough, people die, things happen. Like you said, tabletop role-playing games, not I should say the pen and paper, the ones you guys sit around and create characters with, those games are, you guys are all writing a book. The game master, dungeon master, storyteller, whatever you want to call them, is the narrator, and everybody plays a character in it. And I'm very proud of a lot of my games. I don't kid glove and I don't lie about my roles. And people have died. In the game that Alex is in, they're just about to hit level 6. I want to say I've had 4, 5, 6, 7 characters die.
Yeah, but it gives it a certain level of interest because it feels like, the decision making, the level of threat actually gives it a level of an excitement because it's, if death didn't have any consequence, then it would just be like, oh, okay, get to the save point, and just continue versus, like, like for example, like, Mighty R, you were saying that you played Resident Evil. It's the difference of get to a save point or like reload versus, like your character when it's dead. Now you play a different character in that game.
And you and me as a storyteller, I don't want your characters to die. I want to build on the backstory. I want to watch your characters change.
But the threat does make it kind of like more reason to like for us to like, try to do smart things, even though sometimes the group doesn't.
No, and I'm kind of getting there, but I don't want to see it. You guys don't want your characters to die. But if you don't have that essence where their consequences don't come to play, Dungeons and Dragons probably not the game for you. Fate is a very low consequence game. I would recommend that one highly if you're worried about that. You want to have a character and have a story, a long growing story. I would do that.
I still want to like play Fate with you running it.
We should. I mean, we could get together, do something on the channel. We should get a bunch of. I wonder if there's any local improv actors that would want to play Fate with us.
Maybe some of the people from like Zombie Orpheus Entertainment,
or them.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing their game because that'd be cheating. They know that game. I'm just saying there's a lot out there, just like there's a lot of comic books. Everything has its presence, and I recommend wholeheartedly that you try some of these other games out. Some of them are more mechanical, and as a numbers nerd, I love those games. But if I want to play an RPG game, I'm going to go more towards the storytelling ones. I still have to crack open Endless Realms. I have to admit that. We're at the end of the show. Usually we ask each other, what our favorite thing was, blah, blah, breakdown of the comic book. But why don't we just do real quick plugs? Alex, what do you got going
So today I just had uh, two things of awesomeness. One, I got another video for Kyujin comic art, and also on that channel, I just broke 100 subscribers. So like, and once again, I want to definitely say like, thank you, Tina, and thank you, One Mighty R. Like, it's like you guys are part of the community and just like awesome parts of it, and like help me within it.
I'll get more art out there, but you can always go to docswands.com, look around. I actually do some blogging stuff about my woodworking, and it's not necessarily what you'd think. I try to open my heart a little bit. I grew up where you didn't do that, so I just want people that are getting into it to understand that if you hit these roadblocks, everybody's going through them, and I wanted you to see it. But for now, I will say, as I always say, please read more comics, keep it nerdy, and live your dreams.
And I'm just going to say bye-bye and time to end the stream. Bye.